Hi, everyone. Marianne Croce here from Small Biz Vantage and the creator of 3 Day Weekends Coaching. And I'm so glad to be here each and every week for business leadership in 15 minutes. And I do these for a couple of reasons. The first reason is for you to be able to shift your perspective, the way you look at your business, your vantage, if you will, and turn that into your competitive edge. When we make the small shifts, it really can make a huge impact on our business. As an owner, as leader, we have a lot of influence on our customers and our team, and those shifts can really be a competitive advantage. So, a lot of people ask me, Marianne, who do you work with? And I primarily work with business owners who are in the automotive industry and in the skilled trades. These are a group that I admire and respect. And these people are owners who have reached a level of success, but now what they want to do is they want to have a life. They're managing a lot of different areas of their business, and they really want to develop some leaders on their team and have a life. And that's where I come in and I help. So, this week's topic is relying on gut instinct. And this happened because of actually a little story this past weekend. It was an incident that I ran into. And I'm really curious whether you're here live or you end up watching on the replay. I would love for you to be able to share a lesson that you learned from a gut instinct decision that you made that didn't go so well. So here's what happened. Can you remember the last time that you based a decision on gut instinct? It could be a personal decision or it could be a business decision, but you really base that decision on gut instinct. That's when your intuition is guiding you. And I had this experience with a flight I took last week for an association board meeting that I attended. So here's what happened. I ended up reserving a parking space at a lot that I've used in the past. I've used it actually for years for a local, smaller airline. And pre COVID, things were a little bit different. But I called them because I had some concerns about the online scheduling. And I wanted to know that I would get to the airport in time. They assured me that I had plenty of time, so I made the reservation. But my gut or my intuition was telling me otherwise. So, got to the airport, went through security, and was relieved when I got to the gate and saw that my flight was boarding on the flight board. I handed the attendant my boarding pass. Now, I didn't see many people around, and she told me that I was too late, that I missed boarding the plane by a minute. It was frustrating because I could see the plane. But then again, I know that they have their processes, their procedures that they have to follow. And whatever that is, once they move the steps or the landing or lock a door, whatever it is, I know that they can't go back. Right? The rules are the rules. And a lot of that's for safety. So even though that it was really frustrating for me, I could totally understand that they couldn't let me on the plane. So I was so frustrated, and my frustration really turned to anger because here I thought to myself, I never missed a flight. I considered myself timely. I always got to the airport early. So I never missed a flight until now. And my frustration was really directed towards this parking lot company. But very quickly, within a minute, as I was walking over to the desk to figure out what my options were, within a minute, I realized I was really frustrated with myself because I didn't listen to my gut. My intuition said, you don't have enough time. And I was right, but I didn't listen. So here's the thing, we all base decisions on gut instinct from time to time. Gut instinct comes from our core values and beliefs. And if something or someone doesn't align with your principles, then it doesn't feel right. If it does align, it's easy to say, yes, let me do this. But sometimes we know exactly why, and other times it's hard to describe. I've heard many people say to me, well, I can't put my finger on it, but it just doesn't feel right, or it does feel right. Or sometimes people will say things like, I do or I don't have a good feeling about this. So they may not be able to really describe it, but that's the terminology, or those are the phrases that they'll say. So, when is it time to follow your gut instincts? The best time to follow your intuition is when you have all the information needed. So, we process information so quickly, we don't realize that our brains do this at a really high rate of speed. Things that we've learned, experiences that we've had in the past, and things that others have told us, maybe through lessons or things that they've learned. And we use all that information needed to logically make the best decision. So our intuition really guides us, and then we back it up with logic. Now, there are times that we don't have all the information needed, and that could be in an emergency situation where we make the best decision we can based on our gut instinct or maybe a past experience, and we make those decisions very, very quickly. So it's good to use our gut instinct then. But when is it not time to follow? When is it not a good time to follow gut instinct? Well, when we rely only on our intuition, it can lead to poor decision making because your intuition can be influenced by emotions, right? In situations where you have incomplete information, you don't have all the information that you need, relying solely on your intuition can lead to an error in judgment. In some situations, um, even considering like alternatives, a different way of looking at it, a different perspective. And this could lead to lack of critical thinking, like the process, the steps you have to take, and really poor decision making. Well, this is exactly what happened to me. And I mean, it's embarrassing when I think about it because I'm sitting here thinking I should know better than that. I knew that I was cutting it too close. I travel enough to know to allow for extra time. I know that. But that day, the day that I made my reservation, when I think back, I made that decision. I was making a lot of big decisions that day. And I made that decision too quickly. I wanted to check it off the box and have that reservation made. I didn't want to think of alternatives or anything like that. Maybe I should have waited another day and thought it through. So I listened and I relied on the advice of others, which was bad advice. I rationalized it by telling myself, you know what? They do this all the time. And if they say that they can get me there on time, I guess they will, right? Well, that was a bad decision. I knew better. So, trusting your intuition can be beneficial in certain situations, but it's important to balance your gut feelings with critical thinking and consideration of all the information that you have or all of the available options. So, I want to take this into work, into the business sense, because when we think about this, how does this relate to a work environment? When we do this in our business, it can make a huge impact on that as well. And we do this in our business all the time. make decisions based on our gut. Sometimes they work out and sometimes they don't. But the most common times that I've seen this is when owners or clients are discussing things like customer service issues or hiring the wrong people. These are the things that they'll discuss with me. And they tell me that they had a bad feeling about the customer or maybe the job candidate. But for some reason, they didn't follow up with getting all the information needed to make the best decision. And it really ended up costing them. So I want to give you some examples here. They took on work or a customer that wasn't a good fit, which could lead to a bad review, difficult conversations with the customer. And what happens? Stress levels go up and work isn't enjoyable. Like you come home and you're like, oh, I had an awful day. Another example is hiring someone who wasn't a good fit. And as a result, they lost good people because of the toxic work environment. So hiring too fast and firing too slow can create the kind of culture that people won't work in. And really, frankly, today, people won't tolerate that kind of culture anymore. Years ago, people did, they put up with it. But today, people won't tolerate it. And I really don't blame them. As far as my flight situation, I have to give a shout out to Delta, because kudos to you guys. You took care of me. The woman at the front counter was able to book me on another flight an hour later, and my new connecting flight got me in an hour later than originally planned. So I was only off that 1 hour. So I immediately felt better, and I really thank them for their help. They listened to my story and they understood how to address it. I really felt heard. So, as a customer, I really thought that they went above and beyond for me. Not only did they just get me on any flight, but they really understood my time constraint. When I arrived back at home, I asked the shuttle driver who was taking me over to my car, I asked them, when do you open? And his response was, well, technically, we open at 5 a.m. But we've had some customers show up as early as 4:30, even 4:15, and they're waiting for us to open. And we have taken them to the airport before 5 o'clock, but it really depends on who's working that day. He kind of chuckled and said, some drivers are more pleasant than others. And I thought to myself, wow, that would have been nice to know ahead of time. I now had new information. The person who answered the phone never told me any of this. So, with this new information, I could make a better decision next time. Maybe my option would be having a family member give me a ride to the airport, or taking an Uber or a Lyft, or even driving myself there, but getting there before they open. Well, I can no longer say that I've never missed a flight. But what I took away from this was priceless. To me, it was, because this experience gave me a new perspective on levels of customer service and what some team members will do for a team, for your customers, and what some team members won't do for your customers. And it also gave me insights on owners, because this always, I don't want to position this that it's always the team member's fault. You have to look at this too from an owner point of view, how owners, leaders, and managers influence their team with the right tools, the right resources, and the right expectations. It seems like really a lot of that was missing here in this situation. So I'm curious again, let me know, even in the comments, what you've learned from a gut instinct decision that didn't go well on your end. I'm curious to see what lesson you learned from that. And I want to thank you for being here. If you find this valuable, please share it with another business owner that you know. We can learn and grow and help one another. So thanks for being here. And I look forward to next week's business leadership in 15 minutes. Have an enjoyable day.